The plan was to increase the number of visitors per year to 75,000, encourage repeat visitors, and also encourage people wanting to become English Heritage members. So for us, it was really about setting our stall out. We're a new charity now. It was one of the first projects that was launching. It was saying, this is a new kind of English Heritage. It's not what you're used to.
The kind of questions that we asked of ourselves and of the project to try and bring together low-tech, if you like, interpretation and high-tech interpretation to meet the requirements of English Heritage were, how do we get the balance right for family audiences, and how do we decide on the right type of media to get those messages across? Tapping into people's imagination really is, for us, absolutely at the core of connecting to the market and choosing the media. So whatever way you want to tell the story, it has to inspire people and not spoon-feed them with information and dry facts. Another element about getting it right for the family market is about allowing a sense of fun. What we wanted to create is opportunities for people to learn, but also to engage with spaces in a different way.
We began with two questions too. The first one was, we had a very, very clear brief from English Heritage that they wanted this to be an experience. They didn't want this to be a fact-led visit. The second thing we had to think about was multimedia can be a barrier for some people, we know that. Well, some people think it's a barrier, and we wanted to set out to show that really it needn't be. We think heritage experiences are things that you can only experience there. This isn't something you can experience at home, and I think that's quite important. So, how do you create an immersive experience? We actually created a video that people watch at the start, and then we created a multimedia guide, one for adults and one for families with children, so that there is a choice. So the first thing we did was we created an event, a party, a weekend house party in March 1937. Virginia and Stephen Courtauld, they were very, very, very well known for their fabulous parties and their incredible range of friends. And you can see we put the friends back into the event here. And they had friends who were film directors and Arctic explorers and mountain climbers and socialites. So for us, an absolute gift. On arrival, every visitor is given an invitation to the party, and that tells them who they are, which of this array of marvellous guests they are. When they enter the property, they're encouraged then to go and watch this film that we made. And what the film does is begins to set this conceit, really, that you are one of these people arriving for the weekend. And would you like to just have a look at this before dinner? And this introduces Virginia and Stephen Courtauld. And it says, we are now going to take you on a tour before cocktails and before dinner. And that's the whole point of the Multimedia Guide. So the Multimedia Guide is your virtual tour around before cocktails and dinner. We then were able to use, with English Heritage encouragement and support really, every type of technique that's available at the moment. So we used aerial photography, we used augmented reality, which you can see here with the lemur. We recreated events, as you can see, so in every room you go into, there's a snippet of activity. We even show people how to mix cocktails. And obviously it varies. On the family tour, there's not more games and activities. And with the characters, who Bright 3D researched and used, I think in some of the things that James showed you, you meet characters through the physical 2D interpretation as you go round in the discovery boxes. We had photographs of all of these people, we've got diary extracts, we've got biographies, and we were able to cast actors that looked as close as we could to the real people. We had quotes, their experiences, what it was like to come to dinner, what it was like to have your ankle nipped at dinner by the lemur under the table, all sorts of wonderful things. So obviously that's a real gift, and not everyone has that. But in some ways, some of these people are very well known, so that was a challenge too. So how do you make sure that multimedia is appropriate to everybody? And I think, people often say, old people don't like technology, or, what about this, what about that? So, the key to this, we believe, is to make sure that you understand your audience fully at the start, and you vary the style and the content. So we did a tour for adults and a tour for children, and you can see here, they have a very different style, very different approach in terms of how they tell the story and the level of interactivity. But equally important is the ability to dip in and out and to choose how immersive you want to be. There are moments when the Multimedia Guide falls right back in terms of the interpretive pecking order. There's other instances where it's absolutely at the top. So you walk into a space and we want to show a party in action, the Multimedia Guide steps up. So that was very important to say to people, you have got a choice. You can decide if you want to be part of this or not. And I think for us as a multimedia team, that was the thing that we took away from this project most. I think we had a client who really understood what multimedia could do. And perhaps most importantly, we were brought in early on in the process. And so we were able to understand the range of interpretation. We were able to understand where we could support and where we could complement. And that's unusual because very often I think multimedia is brought in as a bolt-on at the end and it's too late to do that. But I think for us, that was one of the reasons why this project has worked so well.
So was the project a success? Yes, it has increased our year-on-year visitors by a lot, and the income has shot up massively as well. What we've done mixes together well in the environment. It's sympathetic to the architecture. The creative providers we brought in, Bright and ATS, work well with us as a team, and it's provided us with a really interesting model and baseline to move forwards in terms of how we interpret these sort of country house interiors. Thank you very much.